Are you new to Zenless Zone Zero and feeling a bit overwhelmed by all of the high-octane combat you've been seeing recently in the game? Or maybe you've been wondering how some of us are able to do combos, long rotations, and tech you've never seen before? Well, don't worry, I promise you're not alone. Zenless is a unique type of gacha where it can be extremely simple at its core, or it can be one of the most technical gacha RPGs you've ever played in your life. This game has elemental reactions like Genshin Impact, but they're not really elemental reactions. Things like damage over time is in the game, but not like how it is in Honkai Star Rail. Rotations, combos, technical inputs, the same team playing completely differently versus one boss or another. Even the characters play differently depending on which team you build them in. I understand why a lot of players can feel overwhelmed by everything the game throws at them, and honestly, the game doesn't do the best job at helping you handle most of that. That's why in today's video, I'm going to break down the top 7 characters that are the best to help new players learn the game. To be technical, it can help anybody learn the game, so you don't really have to be a new player, but YouTube CEO, wow, SEO. Before I do that though, we need to understand 2 things. Number 1, why not learning the game beyond the basic level is a big future problem. And number 2, how you can effectively learn anything in the game on your own with just a bit of practice. Are you tired of losing? Are you tired of losing those 50-50s to bullshit? Well, don't worry, big dog, I got just the deal. Let me show you a popular website that helps gamers buy more for less. Not only can you score games for less, but they've also gotten a partnered top-up services, meaning you can buy your pulls cheaper too.
Oh, that's nice.
On top of that, Aniba offers something else I haven't seen any other site do: a 10% cash back with each purchase. Now I get cheaper pulls and my money back. But wait, there's more. Using my link in the description box will get you all set up to start saving more money today. Now get out there and go pull that new character. First up, let's talk about the common pitfalls too many Zenless players deal with and why it's a problem. And when I say problem, I already know that someone will comment how easy the game is, but this always comes from one of 2 types of people. The guy who thinks nothing in the entire world is difficult and all games are just too easy, or the guy who doesn't actually care about anything until it directly affects him. Both types of players do more harm than good. It's never about whether or not Zenless is too hard. The problem has always lied on the fact that early on you can sleep your way through the game and still clear it. At some point, the game takes a gigantic leap across Lake Zora and expects players to be prepared for content they didn't know they needed to prepare for. In the event, you cruise through the beginning of the game by just mashing buttons, and yes, you absolutely will do that. There's going to be a point around proxy level 40 something where you can start doing all of the in-game content but won't be able to clear it. Naturally, since this is a gacha game, you'll assume that just grabbing the latest character will help you succeed, and that's partially true, but still won't matter if you have no idea how to fight. It's like saying I'm the strongest jujutsu sorcerer in the world but don't know how to use curse energy. Older agents are more complicated than newer agents with years of combat research the community has discovered to make them better than their kit reads. New agents are simple to play but complicated enough to keep you from beating in-game if you don't know more than just mashing. Each team is unique enough that just mashing when you see gold flash or big ult ready, press button now will not work. Every boss is not fought the same exact way, meaning a new strategy. Sometimes an entirely new team is required to beat them. This is what we call matchups. The best players in Zenless are the ones who know how to learn, adapt, and execute, not the ones who buy the brand new shiny toy. Someone who's mastered how to play Billy will outperform someone who only knows how to mash with Ye Shunguang, guaranteed. This leads us to our second development problem. The game sucks at preparing you for any of this. Normally what a gamer would do in anything is try a character tutorial or demo, right? Well, in Zenless, it's literally a shot in the dark if that tutorial will be useful to helping you learn the character or not. Some of them, like Hugo's, are perfect because it gives you exactly what you need to learn the character and grow. Others, like Bernice or even the new Lycon, are horrible because they barely scratch the surface of what this character is supposed to do, let alone how they function in a real team. So what can you do to learn the game then? Well, besides watching guides and combo videos on YouTube, your best method to learning the game is Training Room. It's dated, I know, and hasn't been updated since 1.3 or something like that, but even with the limited resources it has available, it's still the best place for you to get more familiar with how a character engages with others on the team, their own skills, what happens when you fulfill basic conditions, and so on. Alongside that are the game's combat drills, helping you get more familiar with basic and advanced mechanics like assist counter. Early on, these might not seem useful to you at all, but if the difference between you clearing in-game and not is a choice between using assist counter to play better or struggling to pull a brand new limited agent, I'd imagine you want the free option that only requires you to practice your execution. The best part about it all is that unlike most RPGs, there is no need to worry about clearing a boss and it going away, or needing to restart the entire story to play it again. You can fight anything available in the game forever, as many times as you need to within the game's modes we have access to. Learning the game isn't hard, it honestly just takes time. And with all of that out of the way, let's jump into the characters that give you the easiest time learning that. Normally what I like to do is I like to go in reverse order, meaning that the least top, I don't know how to say that part, the one's the bottom. Okay, if I were doing a top 10, then number 10 is what I would start with. But this time I wanted to try something a little different and see how it works. We're gonna start with the best and then work our way down. If there's one character in the entire game that perfectly introduces you to how Zenless Zone Zero actually works under the surface, it's Soldier 11. She forces you to stop mashing and start thinking about timing. Her kit revolves around precise inputs, where hitting your attacks at the right moment directly affects your damage output. And the best part, the game gives you a clear visual fail state. If you mess up your timing, you'll immediately see that her sword slashes are now doing physical damage instead of fire, which makes it incredibly easy to understand when you're doing things right versus wrong. But Soldier goes way deeper than that. She teaches you how multiple systems interact at once, meter management, stun mechanics, buff up times, burst combos, and even advanced tech like double chain attacks or assist counters. She also builds your overall game awareness, especially with mechanics like her parry timing, where you need to recognize enemy behavior instead of just reacting blindly so that you time your charged parry in just the right moment. What really makes her valuable though is her flexibility. She has a low skill floor so anyone can pick her up, but her skill ceiling is insanely high. You can learn basic combos early on, then gradually optimize rotations, learn when to shift between sustained and burst damage, and understand how she relies on her team just as much as they rely on her. If you want a character that teaches you how to think while playing instead of just pressing buttons, Soldier 11 is easily the #1 agent with the best starting points. Second on my list is a character that everyone has access to because you literally start the game with her, Anby. And she is where most players experience their first real introduction to combo-based gameplay, and honestly, she's one of the best teachers in the entire game. She's what I'd like to call your first true combo character. Her kit naturally guides you into chaining attacks together properly instead of playing in short, disconnected bursts. At the very beginning of the game, the prologue teaches you that she has one basic attack string that can branch into 2 separate enders. One combo ender does more damage, while the other ender, with a properly timed input, does more daze. Through her, you start to understand how combat flows between an agent and an enemy. More importantly is the fact that Anby teaches you the importance of the stun window, how to build towards it, and why it matters so much. She helps you recognize that the game isn't just about dealing damage whenever you can, but about setting up when to deal the most damage and how to ensure you'll have all the necessary resources inside the stun window. She also quietly introduces you to one of the most important fundamentals in Zenless: team structure. The standard team construction will always consist of 1 DPS, stunner, and a support agent. Anby helps you see how these roles function together without overwhelming you and giving you a bunch of complicated mumbo jumbo. She's simple, but not shallow, and that's exactly why she's so effective for teaching you how to play the game. Number 3 is one of my favorites, Ellen. Ellen Joe. Ellen. I don't know why she's my favorite, so she gets a couple different monikers, okay? Ellen is where things start to open up a little bit more creatively. She teaches you the difference between sustained damage and burst damage in a very natural way. As you play her, you'll start to get a feeling for when you should stay on the field and apply pressure, or when you should rotate out and cash in damage during key windows. She also introduces players to more advanced mechanics like dash canceling and smoother combo routing, but without forcing you into them. You can play her at a basic level and do perfectly fine thanks to her new potential upgrade, but if you want to improve, the tools are all there. What makes Ellen especially valuable is that she has a clear, structured game plan. You always know what you should be doing, but she still leaves room for a bunch of skill expression. You can refine rotations, adjust your playstyle, and start developing your own rhythm in combat. She's basically day one player's bridge between learning the game and starting to master it. Sticking in the realm of ice, we have Miyabi, who is one of the best examples of a character that grows with you over time. At a basic level, she's very approachable. Most players see her do a lot of damage, have crazy, flashy attacks, and ignore the basic rules of the game. But once you start digging deeper, you realize just how much control she gives you over anomaly mechanics while directly benefiting from crit-based supports. She teaches you how to manage anomaly build-up, how to trigger it intentionally, and how to manipulate it depending on the situation. She also reinforces why you choose certain combos over others. It's not just about pressing buttons. It's about understanding what each action contributes to your overall damage, deciding whether or not to use a single charge of EBA to gain just the right amount of decibels before smashing out an ultimate during the stun window, using a full basic attack string into EX skill versus stopping at BA3 so that you don't waste the freeze buildup. To this day, most players still aren't fully aware of how they can control her anomaly buildup. Miyabi shines when it comes to rotations too. She has multiple optimized routes which help you understand the team's damage distribution, when to focus on stun windows, and when to deal damage outside of those. She also subtly teaches build importance too. Even when using similar gear sets, i.e. 4-piece branching blade, small adjustments can change how she performs and how she acts on your team, or at the very least, make it easier for you to build her. And then that helps players understand how builds actually impact their own gameplay. Things like pin 5 versus attack 5, which is a very common question within Miyabi players' questionnaires, I guess. Or even something a little bit newer that's been popping up is an AP focused versus crit based Miyabi. If you want to move on the board from playing correctly to playing efficiently, Miyabi is a huge step forward. Next is Sokaku, one of the best characters in the game for understanding how active supports actually function. If you're more familiar with games like Genshin Impact or Wuthering Waves, then your understanding of what a support character does is most likely enter the field, press a skill button, return to DPS. I swear it sounds like Pokemon. In Zenless, you can play a support like that, but the more time we have as players, the more we've learned about what these support characters can actually do in 3 minutes. Sokaku teaches you a great deal of uptime management, how to maintain buffs consistently through both her abilities and her disk drives. From that, you start to see how supports aren't just there to swap in and out, but to actively enhance your entire team's performance over time, or contribute to what's happening on the field. She also helps you understand how different builds change what a character contributes. With Sokaku, small adjustments like changing her to focus more on anomaly or impact can shift her role significantly, which is a huge learning moment for newer players. Another big thing she introduces is positioning. Distance matters, especially for anomaly application and damage that comes from it, and she makes that very clear through her gameplay in mono ice teams. Finally, there's her tech. You're gonna hear something about a rally cancel all the time. You talk to anybody that plays mono ice or let alone Sokaku, they're gonna ram the term rally cancel in the back of your brain. Rally canceling properly with Sokaku can completely change how viable she feels in certain teams, and it's damn near mandatory in teams like mono ice. She also plays a role in manipulating freeze anomaly and even controlling stun windows more precisely because of it. She's not just a support, she's a full lesson in support optimization. And if we're talking about optimization, we gotta talk about my boy. Lycon is all about control, especially now with the new potential upgrade. He teaches you how to manage stun from both on-field and off-field positions, which is a huge step forward in understanding more up-to-date team dynamics. You start to realize that controlling the pace of a fight is just as important as dealing damage. He also introduces debuff timing, knowing when to apply effects for maximum impact, especially around stun windows. That alone can massively improve your overall damage output in specific moments or throughout the entire fight. Another key lesson with Lycon is resource management, understanding when your DPS's ultimate is ready and whether it's too early or too late becomes a real factor in how you play. And like some of the best designed characters, changing his build can impact how his new potential enhanced kit functions with whoever is on the team. That flexibility helps players understand how characters adapt instead of staying static, which is something that I talk about as a positive to Zenless all the time. If Soldier 11 teaches players awareness, Lycon is there to teach players how to control their space, or at least the flow of combat, one of the two. Finally, we have Yuzuha, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this was almost Seth. Yes, I know I'm the Seth guy, but I promise you it's for a valid reason. Let me explain. Yuzuha is where things get advanced, but in a way that teaches you some of the most important high-level concepts in the game. First, she's incredible for learning resource and stack management. You have to actively track what she has available and plan around it, which builds strong habits for more complex characters. For visual reference, think of how fast a character like Vivian or Yanagi consumes Yuzuha's sugar points versus someone else like Alice and Miyabi. She also introduces the concept of boss control, or in a more simple phrase, anti-boss strategies. And everything that I'm about to say here pretty much applies to what Seth would have done and why he would have been here, just a little bit of a tweak. Things like how to fully interrupt, redirect, or completely shut down boss actions. Most players, even day one players, still have no idea that almost every boss in a game can be countered in some way, shape, or form by specific actions or character techniques in the game. That's something that a lot of players still struggle with, and Yuzuha's signature umbrella parry makes the easiest way for you to learn it, something that's a little bit more effective in different scenarios, but a lot harder to execute and learn from is Seth's fully charged EX skill, which has the same properties. But where Yuzuha really shines is in anomaly and polarity manipulation. She teaches you how different characters interact with each other's mechanics in a very specific way. For example, understanding how to trigger certain anomaly effects at the right time to enable another character's off-field damage. Learning how to use your off-field aftershock attacks for special animation cancels and free meterless chain attacks, which is a technique that Yuzuha has to herself. Well, I guess it's not to herself because some of the other characters have it too, like Trigger, but whatever. And finally, she reinforces team order in a very direct way. Where you place her in your lineup actually matters, especially when it comes to matching elements and enabling synergies, front, center, or end. You always want Yuzuha's team order to be in front of the agent you want her to flavor match the element of, which is kind of funny because, as I said before, so many players still have no idea how important that is for Yuzuha, and they just slapped Yuzuha on the team as support and think she's supposed to work as every other support. Yuzuha is a character that can easily give you a crash course in high-level team strategy, and that's why she's at the end of my list. So if you came into this video feeling overwhelmed by Zenless Zone Zero, hopefully now you understand something really important. It's not that the game is too complicated, it's that nobody ever shows you how to learn it properly. Every mechanic, every combo, every insane rotation you've seen, it all comes from understanding a few core ideas and then building on them step by step. And that's exactly what these characters help you do. They're not just strong picks, they're essentially teachers, as cheesy as that sounds. If you take the time to learn even one or two of them, pay attention to your timing, your rotations, your team structure, you are going to start seeing the game completely differently. Combos will make way more sense now. Stun windows will feel a lot more natural, and all of that high-level gameplay will stop looking impossible and start feeling intentional. Then from there, well, that's where the game really starts to open up. So from my own personal bag of advice, I'd say don't rush it. Don't try to learn everything at once. Pick a character, practice with purpose, and just let the game kind of come to you. If this helps you out, make sure to drop a like. It genuinely helps more people who are struggling with the game find this video. And if you want to go deeper into mechanics, team building, and advanced tech, just hit subscribe, because that's exactly what we do here. And with that said, I can't say my usual outro because it's inappropriate for YouTube. Like the video, comment, subscribe. Smell you later.